Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and I'm starting a new project. This is a walk I've been talking about for a couple of days now, and I thought, well, let's strike whilst the iron is hot. This is I still have not got yet a proper title for it. At the moment I'm just calling it my never-ending walk, but I don't like that title, so I need to find something a little bit more interesting. So this video is about setting it up. What is it? What are we aiming to do? And how is it going to work? And let me just say right from the start, this might not work and I may have to abandon it, but I think it should be good. I think it should be good. So the idea is that I'm going to, instead of doing these ad hoc walks that I do, I'm going to do a continuous walk. And to start with, it's got a vague concept of walking the border of Sussex. So the idea should be that I walk around. I'm going to start and head westwards and then sort of go round the county in a clockwise direction. So I'll start west and head up the county. So taking in the border between initially the sea, the English Channel, then up towards Hampshire, and then Surrey, and then over round to Kent, and then back towards my starting point. I live in Worthing, so I'm starting here by the pier. And the idea is to just take a meandering, wandering walk in that vague direction, looking at the landscape, heritage and nature. Where possible, finding stuff out. Where not, speculate and pontificate, something I'm particularly good at, not necessarily getting everything right, and seeing where we go. But there's more to it than that. So I'm just leaving the beach, the prom and the pier, and my first westward journey is going to take me up Montague Place, which I just need to cut through. What is this, Montague? No, this is Montague Place, that's right, and then I cut through onto Montague Street and start heading west, heading, I suppose, towards, well, Goring, Ferring, East Preston, Rustington, Littlehampton, Bognor, Chichester, and so on. Obviously not in just this video today. And as I walk, I shall take in the landscape, heritage and nature, of course, the architecture of these seaside towns before I then head up along northwards along the Hampshire border. Montague Street is the main sort of hub of Worthing, I guess. It's the pedestrianised shopping area, but there will be those people who remember when you could drive down here and park. I vaguely remember it now, it seems so long ago. The architecture has pretty much stayed stable for certainly the last 30 years that I've been in Worthing, thankfully. There's all sorts of different periods of architecture here, the shop fronts, but I imagine that some of the shops go back quite some time, but you've got to bear in mind this is a Regency seaside town, so we're not talking of buildings going back as far as the Tudor period, by no means. It's Sunday morning as I record, which is why this very normally busy shopping precinct is heaving with people, but it isn't today. As you can see, it's just a few early morning people out for a walk or a cup of coffee or some such thing. But it's always good to look up, I think, at the buildings and have a look at them, because the upper floors and the exterior is what tells you the history of the buildings here, because below you just have the modern hoardings outside, and some of course are bland and others far more interesting than you imagine. And this, as I said before, is quite a mishmash really of different styles and periods, which is what makes looking up. And some of them are not what you expect. I mean, here, I don't know what the history of this particular building is, but it could, by the look at that pediment at the top there, could have been a chapel or some sort of church, something like that. It's very sad to see that they've closed the street because of social distancing. I think they've actually only closed it because of the cars. I don't think the cars are allowed here. We're obviously allowed to walk down here. This is Rowland's Road that I'm in now, and it's I guess smaller independent shops are represented in this stretch heading west towards Heen, which is a district, an old district of Worthing. And I like this area because it's a lot more, I think, down to earth really. I think that is, I can't remember what the pub name is, but it's clearly a pub that is now closed and has become offices, I think. Because I'm out on a Sunday and it's relatively early, it's only a bit after 9 actually, I can walk in the middle of the road, not be distracted by too many people, and have a look at some more of the buildings and get a better perspective of this road. The Rose and Crown. Been in there many times, had a very nice meal, quite a nice old pub. So as I work out how this is going to work, I think there's a number of things that we can make this into a bit of fun. Number one is we can chart where I've gone on a map. We can put the route, people can follow. Also, if you know roughly where I'm going, you might live in that area or you might know that area, and you might be able to suggest certain walks or places of interest, things to look at, that sort of thing. Or, even better, you may say, hey, do you know what? I know you're coming to, let's for the sake of argument say, Bognor. I'll take you round somewhere. I know somewhere that not a lot of people know, or it would just be lovely to meet up for a cup of coffee. I could maybe do a bit of an interview with you and that sort of thing, so that you get a lot more interaction, I think, which is clearly desirable. Also, no doubt I will have passed something and you'll say, oh, Richard, you idiot, you passed something that was, you know, worthy of being recorded. You should have been there. And I can then go back and do that, or we can meet up and explore it together. I'm just passing now the old bingo hall, which I think was a cinema at one time. I can't remember if it was a Ritz cinema or one of those, or the Empire or some such thing. There's no point me even trying to tell you what it is, because there'll be somebody out there who knows. But it's a very iconic, if I just tilt the camera up, look, you'll be able to see, there we go. Very iconic looking building. On the other side of the road, if I swivel the camera around here like this, we can see these are beautiful buildings with their mock Tudor appearance. Victoriana, I'm guessing at its best, or early Regency. Oh, sorry, Edwardian most likely. And I think it was Wish You Were Here that these films featured in. Now, I did do during the first lockdown, I did a walk where I wandered around this area, and I actually went past this on my bicycle. I think it was as a result of doing that on my bike that I actually pulled a muscle and then couldn't walk for about a week, but I still made videos. think these colours, the red and the blue, are from a betting office. Now, I'm not going to bet on that, but it might be. But the original building itself, I think, again, was either a pub or a hotel. And in Worthing, of course, at the turn of the century and in the 19th century, it was a town that people used to come down to the coast to take the water, like in Bognor and Brighton and all of those. And so there are the elements of these houses that were hotels, and also the houses that would have been board and lodgings for those people who wanted to come down and take the air, the sea, for their health and things. So a number of these houses, I'm just walking down to the seafront now, in an area that, you know, most people don't walk. It's now just a series of interesting terraced houses, and that's presumably was a corner shop. I'm in Milton Road. Well, that was Milton Road, I think, going north and south. That looks like an old corner shop that's now a house. And then you've got a massive length of terraces whizzing off down here. How many of those offered a bed for the night when you came down to visit the sea? I don't know. Well, let's just carry on down this section. This is what I love about the natural development of a town, is that you get the houses of all sorts of different shapes and different periods. You don't get that with the new builds, when they just plonk, I don't know, a 10-acre site with all sorts of unrewarding to look at houses. Now, we're coming down here to the Imperial China restaurant. That's not quite what I wanted to look at. And that monstrosity ahead of us is the back end of the Premier Inn. I'm going to get round there in a different way to have a look at the front. I'm going to do that by strolling past the restaurant and then taking the next road down, which I can't remember what that is off the top of my head. We're in Brunswick Road at the moment. And then we'll get down to the seafront, which is where I'm going to end this particular video, on my walk at the Brunswick Hotel, which is a very grand and must have been a nice plush place in its day. I'm not saying it's not plush now, I'm just saying it was probably a lot plusher when first opened. Oh, I beg your pardon, it's called the Burlington. Dolt. So I've crossed back along the Promenade Road, or the main seafront road, and we've got behind me Heen Terrace, which is a fantastic and impressive stretch of buildings and apartments and what have you. I've never been in there actually. It'd be lovely to see what it's like inside. I bet it's beautiful. And then the Burlington from the front behind me. And I'm just going to end my video today back on the beach, and you'll see I haven't really travelled terribly far from the pier on my westward journey. So I just wanted to set it up really for today, and tomorrow I will continue this journey. So we'll try and work it all out as we go and see how viable this is. But I think it's got legs. I will, of course, just to reiterate, I will be heading home because it's the winter. I'll head home in between these walks and then resume where I am, or you know, start at the next interesting place and go on. But in the meantime, if you've enjoyed it, do give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments. Become a patron and support what I do, or make a donation. Puts diesel in the van in the Black Maria, and it's all good. So I will see you in the next one. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.